So if we divide this side into 3, the very first thing with people is it all begins with recruitment. Right? You've got to get the right people on the bus, and you've got to get the wrong people off the bus. Right? How many of you believe you employ through inspiration rather than desperation? Right? The first thing that we need to prime up our people is we have to have what I call inspired hires. Now there should be probably some inspired fires as well, right? But inspirational recruitment, not desperation. 90% of the recruiting I see is desperation, right? Somebody leaves, we need somebody, you're breathing, you've got the job, right? Am I overstating it? Right. Because mostly it's under pressure that we're recruiting. Now, I worked with a mining group in Orange. That was another story that I'm going to tell. No, I was working with a construction company last week here in Coffs. And we were doing an evaluation of their whole business. And I brought all the staff together and we identified on a flip chart all of the things that weren't working, what's not going so well. And we identified all the things that were going well, going okay. One very small flip chart, one very, very big one, right? By the end of the day, we'd identified that we did what's called a root cause analysis of all of those problems, and every single one of those problems was directly related to recruiting unsatisfactory staff to that business. All of the customer problems, all of the financial problems, because people won't want to pay when work's not done well by poor people. All of the structural problems, all of the systems problems, all their root cause all came back to the fact that we were recruiting trades into this business that were not good enough to do the work that we were promising customers. So we ended up with just one solution to all of those problems, and it was to change the recruiting process. Once you've got your inspired hires, the second thing we need to do is and this really comes back to my rugby union coaching and development days. You've got to develop first graders. Let's call them A graders. Once you bring great talent into your team, it's then not a matter of them just leaving them to themselves. Right? We've got to develop A graders. If you start to think like a professional sports coach, you're trying to take people from reserve grade into first grade, from first grade into representative. You want that type of quality in your business. Right? Now, what does that require? That requires lots and lots of feedback. That requires a development plan. That requires training and skill development. Not ad hoc, but in a structured way. And if we develop A graders, what they then absolutely have to have is clear structure and a plan. Nobody wants to join your team and not know where the destination is. Nobody wants to join your team and not know what their role is. Right? Has anybody ever seen overlap or underlap in their business in terms of people and structure? Right? Have you ever had your staff say, I just don't know where I fit. I'm not sure that that's my job. He's doing my job. She's doing my job. Right? People don't know where the lanes are. Right? People need to know how to swim in the lanes. What is their lane? What's their job? What's their task? Right? So we need to give people really clear structure and a plan. Right? Not a big document, just a map, just a single map. A single page that says, this is where we're going, this is your role. So now let's look at 3 things that can help empower up our process. The first is there needs to be a rhythm of communication. This is a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual rhythm of communication within the team. Who here runs a daily huddle every single day? A couple of people, right? Okay. a weekly, what I call a weekly sync, so everybody knows what's going on once a week. A monthly tactical meeting, a quarterly strategy meeting, an annual retreat, right, where we redo the map. Yeah, okay, that's the rhythm, that's the cadence, I call it cadence of communication. Right? If you don't have that, then all the structure in the world doesn't matter because the world changes, doesn't it? Right? The world changes so dramatically, the market changes so dramatically, your competition changes so dramatically that you've got to be resetting that plan, redoing the lanes constantly. Daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually. The next thing that we have to build is systems. Has anybody heard of a standard operating system? A SOP? Right? Just give me a show of hands in the room. Who's got SOPs in their business? Right? So these are documented processes. Yeah, great. Okay, give yourself a rating. Is everything that could be documented in your business documented? So that if somebody leaves, the person that replaces them can follow that SOP straight away. Right, that's a green light. An amber light, yeah, we've got a few things, particularly induction. You know, we've got an induction, we've got a work health and safety SOP, right? But sales and marketing, just put your hands up, please. Let me know if sales and marketing in your business is documented and systemised, so that every salesperson follows the same process, which is clearly the best process. You've got 20 salespeople. Why do we have 20 different ways of selling? One guy's the best. Makes sense that everyone would do what he does, yeah? Just give me a hands up if you have a systemised sales and marketing process. Yeah, okay, not so good, is it? How important is sales and marketing in your business? How important is it to scaling, getting from stability to success to scaling? And yet I think if I was to ask, it's the least likely part of your business that's systemised. All right? Give yourself a rating on that. Green, amber or red. Because that's the driver of getting through that barrier of success to scale is systemising sales and marketing. The rest is great, right? But that's the killer. Systemising a sales and marketing process. If we can do that, the next lever for powering up process is what I call automation, which comes as a direct result of your systems, but also outsourcing. If you haven't yet identified the power of outsourcing, and that's the gig economy, right? The ability to have virtual support, then you're missing the biggest opportunity, I think, in business right now. Right? Virtual support, virtual everything. The other issue is technology. Right? Just think of the number of technological productivity improvements that you've been able to adopt in the last 5 years. Who uses Xero? Or an equivalent? Yeah? Who uses Asana or Trello? Right? Who's depending on Seek for accessing recruiting? Who's got a virtual assistant? Just hands up who's got a virtual assistant. Somebody once told me, if you don't have an assistant, you are an assistant. And I mean, that's for everyone. That's not just for the CEO. Every single body in business needs an assistant. So you might be a sales assistant at a real estate office. There is absolutely no reason you can't have a virtual assistant supporting you. It's so easy, it's so cheap, it's so available, it's so good. Right? Outsourcing is not just for the big banks. Outsourcing is a possibility for all of us. Combination of technology, new apps, and virtual assistants is a breakthrough in terms of moving to scale. Okay, so then let's move over to profits. The very first one I call profit first. Most of us understand that income minus expenses equals profit. It's the universal accounting standard, yeah? Income less expenses equals profit. But it is equally true that income minus profit equals expenses. Do you agree? There's a fundamental shift though. In a business where income minus expenses equals profit, when do we get the profit? At the end, right? Only at the end. There is so much opportunity to spend all of that income. And what are we all really, really good at? Because we need a brand new, and we need another, and that needs upgrading, right? Income less expenses means that profit is the bit that's left at the end, and it's not planned, it's not determined, right? It's not guaranteed. Profit first means that every single month, before anything else happens, you get paid. We take the income, which we receive every month, and you strip from it profit. Every single month. This income, that profit, these are the expenses that we can spend. Does anybody get the paradigm shift that occurs with that? Every single month, twice a month indeed, if you actually follow the process, we take a percentage of profit. You could start with 1% if that's all you believe you could achieve. But I think it's possible to take 10% of your income and take it as profit. This is not your wage, this is not your salary, this is not your drawing, this is the profit. So profit first means 10% for us. Just think what you would need to do to change your business if it was providing you 10% of the income every month for the whole of 2019. It would be a different business, wouldn't it? It would be a killer business. How happy would your partner be now? How easy are those holidays? How easy are those investments? Right? Because the 10% is actually guaranteed. Takes a big shift in thinking, but that's how you get through that barrier. That barrier from success to scale requires this. Okay, if we take profit first, the next thing we need to do is we've got to stop profit leaks. Now you'll notice that when I look at pumping up profits, I'm not suggesting that we sell more. I'm not suggesting that we go marketing. I'm not suggesting that we lift prices. All of the conventional approaches to lifting revenue in a business, I'm not suggesting that because I don't think that's where the breakthrough is. The breakthrough is to stop businesses leaking profits, make sure they produce profit every single week, and then the third item is we're going to eliminate waste. Right? I'll come to that in a moment. We're going to eliminate waste. Okay, so where does profit leak in a business? Profit leaks in businesses all the time. The first thing is poor people, whether they be customers or staff.